just kind of do free for all. You can ask whoever, you know. I figure we have enough time for like 1 or 2 questions for each filmmaker. Yeah.
Couldn't see the credits on the last film.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry about that. You can probably see them on the website. I don't know. Any questions? There we go. Excellent. Much better. Thank you. Any questions for the filmmakers? Anybody? Let's see. Well, I had a question for the maker of High Maintenance. What inspired that? You don't have to get too personal.
This is straight out of my life. I'm not sure. It was my thesis film from Columbia University in New York. I definitely grew up loving kind of the same sort of like wild comedies that everybody likes. I think like from the 80s and 90s, like Farrelly Brothers movies and John Hughes and John Landis. And I just liked kind of trying to do something fun and enjoyable, but still like rooted a little bit in like, you know, family structure, sort of like something you can latch onto as an audience. And I knew the older woman actress, Mary Louise Burke, who plays the mother-in-law I'd worked with before, and always thought she was hilarious. And she's almost exactly like that in real life. And so I wrote that role for her, and things kind of spun off from that. I tried to think of a movie she could be like a total like wrecking ball character and just ruin things for a guy, and that's kind of where it came from.
Any questions from the audience? Yeah, right here.
Mouthful. Why the headgear? Was that just?
That was actually going to be my question too. So.
Yeah.
And also we have one of the actors from Mouthful. If you'd like to give her a hand as well.
Anyways, about the neck brace, we initially wrote it in, 2 lines kind of explaining it, but we figured it'd be better to kind of leave it to your imagination. But I will tell you, if you really want to hear, it's kind of the catalyst for the short. I figured I want to kind of throw the character into this situation where he was questioning his masculinity, and that's what brought up, you know, he kind of pressuring his girlfriend to reinstill that masculinity, and the idea was that he got his ass kicked in a bar fight a couple weeks beforehand, and that's just the remnants of that bar fight.
And then he got his ass kicked again in the movie.
Yes, and I guess you can also say that it's almost like this physical manifestation of this man who's been beaten down emotionally and physically. But that's just a pretentious asshole answer.
I have a question I'm dying to ask the writer-director of Mouthful.
Go ahead.
You said Jim and Frank. Can you tell us, Frank and Jim, how true is that story?
It's true. Hi, everyone. It's true in the capacity that Jim Henson originally hired Frank Oz to replace his wife. He worked exclusively with her. They were working on like their 3rd or 4th child by the time, though, that they had hired Frank Oz and Jerry Jewell, who was one of the original writers for Muppets, Inc., to sort of fulfill the duties that she had to relinquish.
I have a question for you too.
Yeah.
I noticed in the film you don't specifically say Frank Oz or Jim Henson. It's left a little vague. But you know, obviously, we know what you're talking about. Did you have to get permission from the Henson Company, or are they aware of this film? And if so, what was their reaction?
As far as I know, they are not aware of the film. I was particularly careful not to use last names or any licensed characters or imagery, so technically speaking, the characters depicted in the film are entirely fictitious. Resemblance they have to people, real or otherwise, are strictly coincidental.
Let's hope after this, you know, they'll hear about you and give you some accolades that you deserve.
Well, Heather might be here.
Let's see, the other side. Ken Shalem, filmmaker here, and his junior assistant.
No.
I was wondering, did you come across any kind of political obstacles to getting this film made? And can you tell us a little bit about you know, what went into making this film? And you might have to come over here because I don't think the cord is long enough.
This is my boss. I hope he's going to allow me to be here. So this film, I made a short film before that. That was my graduation film, and this film, the idea came from someone who wanted to do a film that shows that Israel and Palestinian conflict has hope. And he wanted me to do something about kids and show that kids eventually are the same kids on both sides of the world and they can actually play together. And it was very difficult to shoot it. It was a big challenge. We got support from a UK film fund, and we had a crew coming from the UK to shoot it in Israel. And it's a conflict zone. We had to shoot it next to the wall, and a wall like that you can find only in the conflict zone. That wall specifically was next to Gaza. We were surrounded by maybe 200 tanks. So it's a really tense area, and there was a lot of issues, and every time when we actually kicked the ball to the other side, we had to wait maybe half an hour for the soldiers actually to bring it back.
Oh.
And telling us again and again, no, you cannot kick the ball to the other side. So we have to say, yeah, it's a mistake. So this mistake happened 3 times, and then I had to, during the editing, to redo it again and again, to have it a few more times. It was a challenge. It was a very complicated shot compared to the previous project I did.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was actually wondering about that. Like, did you have someone from your crew on the other side of the wall, but you just kicked the ball over and hoped that someone would kick it back?
No, at the other side, no one is really allowed to get close to the wall, so I had to have the soldiers bringing back the ball.
Oh, I see.
And eventually it's our ball, so they have to bring it back to us. That's a very... Yeah, but still you need someone to kick it from the other side.
Yeah. The boy
Yeah.
kicking the ball over. He doesn't know who's on the other side. But there are holes at eye level. If I had been that age, the first time it went over and came back, I'd have been face against the hole to see who was on the other side.
It's a wonderful note. This film is not totally done, and we have a visual effect now closing all the things in the wall.
Yeah.
So the final film is not going to be there. But it's a good note. It's when I did a rough cut and started sending it to people, it was the first thing they said.
Yeah.
But nice you've seen it. Okay. So what we did, we blew up the wall and we shot it very fast. And that was the main question of the Film Foundation in the UK. They told us they're not going to give us the money because there is no way we can break the wall. So it took us a long time to explain to them that we can actually do it today with visual effects. And we almost everything today. This is how we did it.
So those walls actually have those holes in them?
Yeah, that's the actual wall. Yeah, that's a real wall. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why didn't you buy 10 balls and just
Okay, we had many balls. We kicked many of them, but the thing is that we need to have, okay, maybe I didn't explain that. We need to have the shot of the ball coming back. And yeah, we can reverse that, but we need to see in the same shot the kid actually catching the ball. So that was the thing. So we had to convince the soldiers that they can just kick the ball back. And a lot of them are actually good players, so they were used to kick very strong to the ball. Yeah. No, it's the Palestinian. They're very good players.
Any other questions for the filmmakers? Yeah, right there. You in the purple.
I wanted to ask with the other side, have you been showing it, that film in that area? And if not, do you plan to?
So this is the first screening of the film, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I just,
Yay!
and you know, my previous film, that was the last screening. That was the last cycle, so now for this film, that's the beginning. I'm going to show it in Israel in June. I've shown it to some, you know, for filmmakers, a big thing is how to find money to make films. So one of the things I do is I go to wealthy Jewish people and ask them for money. I mean, I know it sounds horrible, but I have to do it, otherwise I can't make films. So I sent this film to some of them that supported my previous film, and all of them said, no way.
Oh.
Yeah, because they don't think that this film promotes Israel so much. So, yeah, there's a long story. There was a guy here from Orlando, a multimillionaire, that says no, that was very embarrassing, but let's put that aside.
They kind of missed the point, didn't they?
People are very sensitive about what's going on in Israel. To one of the sides, it's really amazing. People are very, very sensitive about it. You can hardly find people that can actually see both sides and talk normally about the situation. It's or Israel is good or the Palestinians are terrorists. It's one of these two, which is actually the same. No, seriously, it's or this side is good or this side is good, and people are very much like that. It's very difficult to find people that have opinion that is a bit